Namaste. I, Simran Kaushal, welcome you all in today's episode of FRP on Hot Seat, only on Bharata First. Every week, our Bharata First team holds big picture quizzes. These quizzes are based upon the big picture topics, informative educational post. You can actively participate now by using our Bharata First application or the Bharata First Knowledge Center website. The links and details are provided in the description box below. The big picture quiz entry timings are from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. The winners from our daily quizzes participate in the mega quizzes. The ultimate winner from the mega quiz joins us on the show of FRP on Hot Seat, where the ultimate winner gets the chance to have exclusive conversation with Frankrausanpereira. Presenting everyone, this week mega quiz winner, Andrew Kap Lian Gualnam from Manipur, a first-time winner from the Northeast, who is a research scholar at DU, and his interest areas include gerontology, tribal studies, and who will be joining us. Namaste, Andrew.
Hi, namaste, Simran.
Namaste, Andrew.
Thanks for having me.
Congratulations on winning the mega seat.
Thank you so much. Thanks for conducting the quiz. Thank you so much.
Can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. My name is Andrew Kap Lian Gualnam. I am from Churachandpur district, which we locally call it as Lamka. That's from Manipur. And yeah, currently I'm a research scholar at Delhi University. And yeah, currently I'm based at Delhi. So thank you. It's such a privilege to be here.
Andrew, on this show, you can ask any questions from Frank sir on all topics. So now it's time to welcome one and only Mr. Frankrausanpereira, and I request sir to kindly join the show and take ahead.
Thank you, Simran, for that lovely introduction. One and only, my God, sounds like I'm very powerful and very important, which I'm not, but very kind of Simran to have taken me through that introduction. Andrew, welcome, and nice to have had you win the mega quiz. And it's good to get representation from the Northeast, which is wonderful. This is something that I've been talking about from day one. It has taken us 5 months, but better late than never, which is good. I congratulate you. And I'm also very happy in doing a lot of programs from the Northeast as well. I don't know if you've noticed, and that's something that I've done consciously, and not just consciously. I believe that we are all Indians, and hence there has to be proper representation all across the country, from across the country too. So that's the idea, and that's why I call this platform Bharata First as well. And I would like to include everyone in this platform, and really happy to have you here. Welcome. And I love the name as well, and I won't have any problems pronouncing it because I've had many friends from Manipur. I've had some Métis as my friends as well. So Andrew Kap Lian Gualnam, am I saying it right?
Thank you. Yes, absolutely right. Thank you so much.
Lovely to have you here. And how was the experience of participating in the quiz, and how does it feel to be here?
It's overall it's a very different way of approaching anything that we learn. That Bharata First has made me realize that there are lots of ways to learn, not just you wrote books or you went through even test series. The way it has been conducted, I think that's very enriching, and so much creativity involved in it. So from the moment I have known about Bharata First and I have been following, and the moment I have been called for the mega quiz, the people who have been contacted me, it's like for me something, one of my brother or one of my sister is contacting me. It's how I have felt till as of now. And the moment I saw you, I think it's even more growing much warmer and warmer, sir. Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so nice to hear. And I could feel your warmth. I could literally feel your warmth, and you don't have to be close to each other to to witness that and feel that. You seem like a very humble young man, and you seem like a very earnest, polite, and such a well-mannered young man. And I must give credit to your parents and everyone at home for bringing you up in the way they have, because you seem so humble and so nice and so sweet, and it's good to have you here. Enough of me speaking now. I'm supposed to be on the hot seat. You're supposed to be doing the talking and asking the questions. So the floor is yours, Andrew. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much for your warm wishes and your praises. I think I deserve that thing, but it's such a privilege once again to be doing all these things. And I have chosen some questions that is with special focus on Northeast India. I think also taking this opportunity to be very frank, Frank sir. So I'd like to start our discussion by asking you, sir, that Northeast India has been described by many people as different names. Example, Manipur is called as the Jewel of India, or like Shillong is called as the Scotland of the East, and so many names has been given. So how would you describe Northeast India, or maybe what is your first impression about Northeast when you heard the name Northeast? What comes to your mind and why? Can you please tell me?
My friends from school. That's what comes to my mind when I hear Northeast first, because I've had well, I'm ashamed to admit this. I've admitted it on a previous occasion as well, that I've never been to the Northeast for whatever reason. Be it connectivity in the past. When I was a little younger and I could travel and I didn't have so much on my plate, getting to the Northeast was so challenging. It was difficult. Once the flight started, also the tickets were so expensive. I've heard that it's slightly better now. But when I could travel and when I had the time to travel, I couldn't travel because it was expensive to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And there was so much more attached to getting to the Northeast. Some states, needing permits, and it just seems so cumbersome. So you don't want to go through that process, right? But so I'm ashamed, but I intend to. And when I finally decided that I want to travel, the pandemic hit.
Mm-hmm.
And that became an issue. So at least I would have liked to start my first, at least going to Sikkim or something like that, which is not fully into the Northeast, but at least it's there and thereabout, like, the gateway. So that unfortunately did not happen as a result of the pandemic. So I'm waiting for things to clear out a little bit, and maybe, we can eventually travel, and I'll definitely want to make it to the Northeast. And, I've been reading so much about the Ahom kings, and I've been reading so much about the tribes from the Northeast that I want to actually go there and witness it. I've had a good so my experience or my knowledge of the Northeast is very limited to the kind of friends that I've had. Thankfully, I've had a good exposure to the Northeast because of my friends from school. So I studied in a school which also had a boarding, and little boys, from the Northeast would come and end up in boarding school. And back then we didn't really realize it. But now when you think back and you look back, you feel bad that they actually had to go through that boarding school at that age. But in those days, there was no, we were just boys. It didn't matter, where you are from. Your name didn't matter. Your color didn't matter. The way you looked didn't matter. All that mattered is that we played, we fought, we were happy together, and we studied. We studied, or well, we didn't study together. So that's how it was. So I've had a great experience in terms of, whenever they would go back home and come just after the holidays, eating some Northeastern food, or for that matter, just, understanding how good they were at sport. I was always envious of my friends from the Northeast. I never really expressed it, but within myself, if any of them are watching, well, I'm confessing that, because they were so good at sports, and it was, so natural to them. We would go and we would practice, and we would do this and that, and whatnot, practice in the morning, practice in the evening, and go and represent school. And these fellows would do nothing, would just end up on match day, and they would be the best performers. So I was very envious of my friends from the Northeast, but we never looked at it as, oh, they are from there, or they don't belong, or anything like that. It was always about brotherhood. It was always about being together and doing everything together. So that is my experience. And when you ask me what is it that comes to your mind when I say Northeast, it is my friends from school, and I'm still in touch with a few of them. This is after so many decades, and it's good. It's great, and we have some very fond memories because we all played sport together. We don't have any academic memories because we were never in class. The one thing common between us is we were always on the sports field and we were always outside class. So the teachers also hated us, as sportsmen, because our academic. But there was something good about us. We never failed. We always our attendance would be 7% or 8% in the entire year, but we never failed the final exam. We always somehow passed the final exam. So these are some memories, and this is what comes to me when I think of the Northeast.
That's amazing. And when you mentioned that the reason why you could not physically visit Northeast is because of your financial limitations, I think that's really, really heart touching, because many people do have the privilege to go wherever they want, but think destination, Northeast as a destination has been, think upon, right? You have to think twice before going there. That was the main, the majority perspective. But yeah, hearing from you that it's because of financial limitations, I think that's adds to who you are and why you are here.
And if it makes you feel any better, I had not been north of Maharashtra till I eventually reached or landed in Delhi in 2012. So I had not gone north of Maharashtra at all. So my travel was limited to Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Andhra Pradesh. Not even Telangana. I hadn't even ventured into Hyderabad also. First time I went to Hyderabad, I think, was in 2018 or something like that. So yeah, so my travel was only limited to that. So I hadn't even been to North India. So it's literally about the finances and nothing more.
Yeah, it's such a heart-touching story. So you have been through, and also regarding the border school you have mentioned. I myself have been in borders in hostel for 7 years in JNV, Navodaya Vidyalaya. Then again another 5 years. My graduation and post-graduation, in 5 years together, 12 years I have been in hostels, and my life is been that.
I really don't know how you guys did it. I've never stayed away from home. I really don't know how you boys did it. It's amazing. I would see the young boys, when their parents would leave them in school and go away, they would be crying, they would be bawling, because clearly they don't want to stay away from their parents, but because there was no other option, they would have to do it. And yeah, now that when we're talking about this and you're talking about boarding, all these memories, come back. It's unfortunate, but I guess such is life. You have to go through with it.
Absolutely, sir. I think that's, it's, of course, it's a challenges, but with that challenges, there are lots of things that we have to come through in life. We have to overcome. So that have been, the process. So I'm grateful to be there, even though, if I have the choice now, I would not have chosen that part, but still it's worth the risk taking.
Yeah, it's learning experience.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Then, next, I want to ask that we have talked about how you felt about Northeast and your experience regarding Northeast. So, but experience has been varied, or the way we look at Northeast, it has been there are lots of perspectives, right? So, what do you think, sir, is the best way to integrate Northeast into the mainland, and how should be, and why it is important, integration of Northeast into mainland India, why it is so important, and how we should really start upon?
See, I'll be very blunt. Okay, why it is important for India as a whole, integrating Northeast into mainland India and ensuring that we are one, we come across as one, is because of the Siliguri Corridor and the Chicken's Neck Corridor. Okay, so that is one. So it's about 22 kilometers wide. So that's barely anything. right? So from a strategic point of view, the Northeast is highly important because it is our gateway to the East, and we do not want to lose that. You look at, I'll just juxtapose that to the Wakhan corridor, which connects Afghanistan to India, right? Just because Pakistan is in control of that area, we do not have access to Afghanistan and Central Asia and beyond. So there is a highly strategic aspect to that. Same thing with the Northeast. So this is the blunt and plain and simple answer with regards to why is the Northeast important to mainland India. Apart from that, now going beyond the blunt and straightforward answer, because I like calling a spade. Okay. Why is it important? Because the Northeast is an integral part of India and it has such a historical connect to India, right? And there are so many things that the tribes of the Northeast do, which are so innately related to what Indians as a whole do. And those traditions and those practices continue today, till today. That makes us understand who we really are.
Absolutely.
Many of the other places have forgotten these practices. The ancient traditional Indian practices come from the tribes of India because they are the only ones who have not been corrupted by the invaders.
Absolutely.
And they are the only ones who can truly tell us what India really was. That exists, but that is also dying slowly in the Northeast. If you look at it, each Northeastern tribe has a language of its own. Many of the new generation people from the Northeast, youngsters from the Northeast, have forgotten those languages. It has completely been taken over by English. If you look at the Northeast as a whole, they speak far better English than any of the other regions across anywhere in the country. So what that is doing is it is doing away with the old traditional practices. Before that eventually completely happens, it's best that we learn from each other about some of these ancient practices that we have. What the Africans call shamans, or what do you call it? I mean, the Westerners call them witch doctors, which they really aren't. They are more like healers. You have many of them in the Northeast as well. You know, you use herbs, you use something that is locally available, and you treat for whatever ailments you have. What is Ayurveda? It's the same thing, right? So you see the connection. So people may say, again, I'm going to be blunt. People may call me, people can call me names, racist or whatever. But you don't look Indian. Northeastern people from the Northeast don't look Indian. Okay, you do look more like. I mean, how the West calls it, Asian people, right? But you look at the practices, you look at what we do. The practices of the Northeast are so much more Indian than anyone else. And that is what makes us one. That way, the people from Northern India look so much more different from Southern India. Does it mean we are not Indians? We're all Indians, right? So that's the bottom line. If you look at the people from the hills, for instance, Uttarakhand, Himachal and others, they also look very different. But the bottom line is we are all Indians. Unfortunately, what happens, certain sections of society, certain people within society, just like religious leaders, and see, no religion is bad. No religion is wrong. It is individuals who interpret religion in a particular way that make religion wrong.
So
no religion proposes or preaches violence. You look at jihad, you look at crusaders. It is individuals and people from within the religion which have propagated it to further their own interests. And that's why we've seen that side of religion. Okay. So there are certain people within society, within the framework of things, that don't want this integration to happen, because if they see the integration happen, they are left redundant.
Mhm.
I would like to bring the example of Pakistani deep state here. Why does Pakistan want to keep playing the India card and keep bringing up this issue of India and India is this and India is that? Because if there is peace between Pakistan and India, the Pakistani army and ISI will have no role, and there will be 100,000, 200,000 people who have nothing to do. And these people have only made bungalows, mansions, billions of dollars in the name of India. They will have nowhere to go. Same is the case with society as well. If they let the integration happen, if they let things go on as peacefully as possible, then they can't play this card of divide and rule, right? So that is why it doesn't happen. But should it happen? I've given you reasons as to why it should happen. I've given you the straightforward reason also, and I've given you the historical and the cultural reason as well as to why it should happen. So it should happen sooner, hopefully, rather than later. And the sooner we as a people of Bharata, realize that we are one, it is better for all of us. So we need to realize as well, because we also tend to get into this whole regionalism kind of a thing. See, it's not just people of the Northeast are discriminated in mainland India, it's the other way around as well. Where do you see intertribal marriages or any marriages from within a tribe in the Northeast happening with someone from mainland India? It is unheard of. It is not acceptable. So it's a two-way street. It's not just a one-way street. It has to happen from both sides. And only then can we see people like you and me, if we can sit and have this conversation and look for the best interest of people of Bharata as a whole, we can make a difference.
Absolutely, sir. Regarding the integration, yeah, I think it's even from my personal experience, till my 10 plus 2, I was in Northeast. I was in my state only, and I never felt that I'm not an Indian. I have been to the March Past parade of every Independence Day, every Republic Day. I have sung in national song in the morning before our PT assembly, and national anthem before our academic classes assembly. But I think this doubt of, am I really an Indian? Or, I mean, that kind of feeling is, I mean, and still, once the moment I came out from Northeast, and the moment I'm doing my PG, I mean, my graduation after away from Northeast. So that's the experience I have been. But I think, yeah, as you said, it's both way, and we all both, I mean, we both have the role to play in it. And yeah, thank you for again reminding that, sir. And also, yeah, regarding the medicinal plant you have mentioned, I still remember in our childhood, whenever we get hurt, there is this plant we call tangsiam. I don't know what is the English name, but we just squash it like that. We just squash, and we will just apply it whenever we get cut, and it will get healed. So all those practice have been there in Northeast too. So that's the way we have been growing, and I think so much deep, I mean, likeness are there in terms of our socialization and our culture and all. Yeah. So, sir, if we talk about look East policy, or I mean the Act East policy, what do you think are the problems and the prospect with regards to Northeast India?
Well, the problems are manifold. First and foremost, connectivity. Right, and connectivity in today's day and age and today's world is everything. Right, I mean, I've not been, but I've only heard, with several of my election teams and all of that traveling to the Northeast, they talk about traveling 70 kilometers, taking 7 hours, 8 hours. you can't travel at snail's pace in today's instant world.
Absolutely, yeah.
Everything is instant today. So that is something that we need to fix. Thankfully, the railways have reached the Northeast. Now, hopefully, there will be better connection, better connectivity, and we'll see more of that in the days to come, and that will help in a big way. Secondly, whether we like it or not, the militancy problem is there, right? And there are groups from this side of the border and that side of the border who both want to take advantage at the end of the day. So unless that is sorted out, and because there is geopolitics at play here, it becomes that much more difficult. Right? So the Northeast is highly important for us in terms of connectivity and in terms of our look east policy. But if the challenges continue to be there, and if the challenges are very difficult to deal with, there is an easier sea route between those countries, especially in the ASEAN and that region. And that sea route is not a new route. It is a traditional route that has always been used for thousands of years. The Cholas were instrumental in using that sea route and getting there and doing trade with that region and getting what they wanted from there. There are so many Indians in that part of the world also because of the Cholas and everything that they have done. Right. So if it becomes challenging from the Northeast point of view, there is always an easier way out, a route that has traditionally been used and a route that has been used successfully and doesn't take too long. So the Northeast also, at some point in time, the little states, the smaller states, and the politicians of those states need to realize and understand that the look east policy in the long run is for the region's benefit too. And if they let it happen, it will not only improve connectivity to the Northeast, it will also bring about more business to the Northeast. That is how I look at the look east, policy and our look east with regards to the Northeast.
Thank you. So then moving on to the next question, notwithstanding what is happening on the ground reality between the Assam and Mizoram border disputes, what do you think is the role of the Central in bringing lasting peace between both the states?
First and foremost, before the center, I think Assam needs to realize what it wants and what it doesn't want. I mean, because if you look at Assam seems to have some kind of a dispute or some kind of a problem with all its neighboring states. Right? It's not limited just to Mizoram. It has a problem with all the states. So Assam, first and foremost, needs to realize what it wants, what it doesn't want, because there is a legitimate grouse of the people of Assam and the original inhabitants of Assam as well, who strongly believe that their rights are being infringed upon and their sovereignty is being infringed upon. All right, that's a legitimate concern. How do you assuage that concern is the big question. Now, this is where the role of the center is very important, because the state government can only do that much, and the state government as a whole is always going to act as the big brother because it is the big brother in the region. So the center will have to step in and intervene, and thankfully the state government and the central government are from the same party. And now the state governments in the northeastern states also are pretty much belonging to that party as well in one way or the other. So this is the most opportune moment to try and sort out the differences. And I would like to quote the example of Bangladesh here, where we saw so many issues with Bangladesh, and despite all the problems, we managed to deal with that enclave issue, which is now doing us a world of good. And we are looking at the relationship with Bangladesh as being in a golden era. Now here, Assam will have to swallow a difficult political pill and try and give some of the smaller players a little more in the bargain. But what does that mean for the politics of things there is difficult to understand and difficult to see. So it's a difficult, it's a tightrope walk. It's not easy. It's not at all easy. And if you look at these disputes, these kind of disputes are there with other states also. It's not just limited to Assam and the northeastern region. You look at Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, the Belagavi region in Karnataka and Maharashtra. It's donkeys years old. right? So this problem will continue. So, but the center will have to try and negotiate and try to bring about some kind of a peace. And the center's role is very big in this. Only the center can do something. Nobody else can do, because only the center can give assurances. There is a trust deficit. Just like how there's a trust deficit between India and China, there is a trust deficit between Assam and the other states. So Mizoram doesn't trust Assam, Assam doesn't trust Mizoram. So who can sort it out? Only the center can sort it out, because at least there is some level of trust with the center, because you're not the party, you're a third party. And you believe and hope that they will go through on what they have said. So that is the idea. So the center plays a big role. And that's the role that I see the center playing, not just with Mizoram, but with the other states and Assam in the region as well.
So thank you so much. And for my question, last question, as you have mentioned about Northeast as a sport hub, like your friends have been very good at sport, like people from Northeast India. So I want to ask you a question that every 4 years, that means every time this Olympics is happening, Northeast is seen as a sport hub, right? But remaining years, it is often termed as disturbed areas or places that has been there have been a lot of disturbances. So what do you say on this?
Sports, I think it's far better now. You look at the ISL, you look at the other leagues and all of that as well. They're all doing well, isn't it? The ISL is doing fantastically well. So is and there are so many footballers from the Northeast who are participating in the ISL. You look at so many of the other meets that are taking place. Everyone is participating in them. I agree that when it comes to certain sports, like maybe cricket, there is no representation, or I don't think it is played. Also, is it really played in the North? How often? How many people actually play cricket in the North? I know everyone plays football.
Yeah, we used to play in our childhood. Yeah, I used to play cricket before playing football.
Okay, it's played. Okay, so forgive my ignorance, but even my friends from the Northeast, they somehow seem to be far better at football than maybe cricket. Yes. Or any of their dribbling skills is next level, and their pace is next level. So that is what gives them an edge over the folks from mainland India. And for football and hockey back then, hockey now, of course, has changed. The way the game is played has changed, but you needed dribbling and you needed pace, which my friends from the Northeast had. So automatically they were better at football and hockey. But I think even if you look at the hockey team, there is a good representation from the Northeast as well with regards to hockey. So I think even the Scalo India Games, the Sports Authority of India and other federations are looking more towards the Northeast, really, as far as sports people are concerned. So it's not just limited to just the Olympics. I think it's more than that. And the engagement of late, I've seen that, there has been a lot more engagement. And I'm not saying there is no discrimination, but at least there is an effort that is being made now to try and accommodate, to try and be a little more humane and a little more rational.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for your humble and honest answer. And yeah, really thank you for that. I think we can continue go on for hours, but lots of questions are pouring in my mind. But I think we'll end here. And thank you, Team Bharata, for this privilege and this chance. And I look forward to seeing all this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Andrew, for being here. Thank you so much for such interesting questions, and thank you so much for picking my brains on a subject or on a region where I thought I wouldn't do so well. I think I've passed, at least, if not done reasonably well. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for participating in the quiz, winning, and for your excellent questions. And I wish you the very best in life and with everything that you're doing. You're a bright young man with a great future ahead of you, and Bharata is in front of you. Go do what you have to do, fly, soar, and do us all proud. I wish you the very best.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrew, for joining us today episode of FRP on Hot Seat and enlightening us with your questions. Also, I would like to thank Frank sir for his precious time and extremely valuable insights to the questions. Now, if you are someone who wanted to be also on the FRP on Hot Seat, then you can start by participating in the big picture quizzes through the application of Bharata First or the Knowledge Center website. If you like what we do at Bharata First and would like to contribute to it, then you can use our UPI ID, which is provided in the description box below. On this note, it's a wrap up of today's episode of FRP on Hot Seat. Till then, keep participating and keep winning. Follow us on all social media handles and we are also on the Coup platform. Do make your presence. Please like, share, subscribe to such amazing content on Bharata First. See you soon.